Today on Inquirer, Senate begins probe into Degamo's slay and spate of political killings. Department of Justice eyes to designate suspended Negros Oriental Representative Teves as terrorist under anti-terror law. Amid tension with China, overseas Filipino workers are well protected as situation in Taiwan remains very normal, according to the Manila Economic and Cultural Office. And diesel prices down by 40 centavos per liter, gasoline, kerosene prices up. Good evening. The Senate Public Order and Dangerous Drugs Committee on Monday begins its probe into the brazen assassination of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo and other political killings in the country. The Senate panel has rejected the plea of suspended Negros Oriental Representative Teves to only be present virtually in the probe. Teves is currently tagged as the mastermind in the massacre of Degamo and 8 others. The lawmaker was confirmed to attend the panel's hearing on Monday via video conference, but Senator Bato de la Rosa says there is unanimous agreement not to allow the virtual presence of Teves.
There is a unanimous agreement not to allow the virtual presence of Congressman Teves. The doors are not completely shut down to Congressman Teves. If he wants to come here physically, then, by all means, we will entertain. Lahat na gusto niya sasabihin, pakikinggan po natin.
Amid questions on Teves' whereabouts, Senate Majority Leader Joel Villanueva says he received reports claiming that the beleaguered lawmaker was seen eating at a hotel in South Korea. In separate press briefing through Zoom, however, Teves gives no comment on Villanueva's claim, saying his whereabouts are, quote, for them to find out. Meanwhile, De La Rosa assures Teves that he will not get even a scratch on his body if he surfaces and faces all accusations against him here in the Philippines. The lawmaker has cited threats to his life as his reason for not returning to the country. But De La Rosa continues to press Teves to face the probe, even saying Interior Secretary Benher Abalos and the police will escort Teves to ensure his safety.
Can you give us an assurance na hindi mamatay si Congressman Teves pag pumunta siya dito?
Yes, sir.
Pumunta at palabas.
Yes, sir.
Walang babaril sa kanya.
Ako mismo magbabantay, sir. I assure you 100%.
So kung mamatay siya, ikaw mananakot.
Yes, sir.
Pa-eskortahan ka ni Secretary Abalos ng polis para pumunta dito at kahit isang gasgas ng katawan, wala kang aabuting gasgas.
Mr.
If you
Chair.
are listening right now, Congressman Teves.
In related story, the Department of Justice is now looking at designating suspended Negros Oriental Representative Teves as a terrorist over his alleged role in the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo and 8 others. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla tells senators probing the political killings in the country that the activities leading to the March 4 massacre were all covered by the anti-terror law. But when the cases were filed individually against those allegedly behind the massacre, the DOJ chief says they could not immediately file an anti-terror case as this would take a lot of legal theory and research to prove a terrorism case. Nonetheless, the Justice Secretary says the DOJ is now eyeing to have Teves designated as a terrorist.
However, as a solution to the impasse here about the surrender of Mr. Teves or Congressman Teves, we are looking at designating him or proscribing him as a terrorist, to have him proscribed by the Court of Appeals or designated by the Anti-Terror Council because of the acts that happened. Because the other persons are in custody already, there's no more need. But as far as Mr. Teves is concerned, Congressman Teves, we may need for him to be designated and proscribed, Mr. Chairman.
Meanwhile, in a virtual press briefing, Teves says it's laughable that authorities want to designate him as a terrorist and he will come home when he feels it is safe. He adds that his reason for not coming home is due to what he refers to as foul play and not because of fear of being arrested. The Chinese embassy says its ambassador's remarks advising the Philippines against supporting Taiwan were taken out of context. On Friday, Ambassador Huang made the remark that the Philippines should oppose Taiwan's independence bid if it really cares for overseas Filipino workers instead of stoking the fire by adding American-operated sites through the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement or EDCA. In its statement, the Chinese embassy says Ambassador Huang's remarks were misquoted or misrepresented, arguing that his words were taken out of context. The embassy also referred the media to the original text of the speech. In the transcript of the speech shared by the Chinese embassy, Huang was quoted as saying, quote, "Some tried to find excuse for the new EDCA sites by citing the safety of the 150,000 OFWs in Taiwan, while China is the last country that wishes to see conflict over the strait because people on both sides are Chinese." Meanwhile, a party list group asks President Bongbong Marcos to expel the Chinese ambassador for his statements. Akbayan party list says that Huang's call for the Philippines to oppose Taiwan's independence to secure the lives of the Filipinos there is, quote, "the testament of a hostage taker." The party list also said that Huang must also be declared as an unwanted person in the Philippines for his recent remarks about OFWs in Taiwan. Malacanang has yet to comment regarding the matter. On April 3, the Presidential Communications Office named 4 more EDCA sites. Many critics have pointed out that the 4 additional sites could drag the Philippines into the Taiwan Strait conversation. The Manila Economic and Cultural Office says the welfare and interests of overseas Filipino workers in Taiwan are very well protected as the situation in the self-ruled island remained very normal amid the tension with China. MECO's chairperson Silvestre Bello III assures the public that OFWs in Taiwan are in good condition and there is no cause for alarm. He adds that the situation in Taiwan is indicated that the safety and welfare of 150,000 OFWs in Taiwan might be jeopardized if Manila does not oppose Taiwan's independence. Huang said the Philippines should avoid stoking the fire by giving American troops more access to local military bases close to Taiwan, referring to the additional sites under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement between Manila and the U.S. Despite the Chinese envoy's statement, Bello says he does not see how Taiwan and the additional EDCA sites through Taiwan remains independent in terms of hiring OFWs. There have also been discussions to increase the number of OFWs in Taiwan, especially hospitality workers and teachers. Next on Inquirer today, Philippine National Police Chief says former Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag is now a fugitive. Philippine Embassy in Egypt advises Filipinos in Sudan to stay indoors amid conflict. And diesel prices down by 40 centavos per liter. Gasoline, kerosene prices up. This is Inquirer Today. We'll be back shortly.
Tao po, tao po. Tao po.
Ano po?
Pera pong walis. Salamat.
During the lockdown, naisipan ko na sana bata na lang ako ulit. Sana yung panahon daan na lang ako ulit para wala akong problema. Doon pumasok sa akin ang tema ng barong-barong. Kasi kung din yung po natatanong, batang release po ako. So lumaki ako sa ganitong bahay at ganitong klase ng pamumuhay.
Parang nangyayari to mga tol. Ayan o. Diba, may tunog? Yero talaga to. Sa pagbuo ng diorama, para ka na rin talagang bumubuo ng totoong bahay. Uunahan mo yung poste, yung mga biga, matinding pagtsatsaga po ang kailangan sa pagbuo ng diorama. Almost a month po, depende po sa project yung binubuo natin. Someday, magiging replica na lang ito nung nakaraan. Mawawala na yung ganitong klaseng bahay sa Pilipinas. At yung mga new generation na Pilipino, makikita na lang po nila ito sa mga museo. At masasabi na, ito pala yung barong-barong. Ito pala yung Pilipinas noon. Umaasa ako, someday magiging maayos yung bansa.
Philippine National Police Chief Rodolfo Azurin Jr. says former Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag is now a fugitive. John Eric Mendoza has the report.
Former Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag is now a fugitive following the issuance of a warrant of arrest against him. That is according to Philippine National Police Chief Rodolfo Azurin Jr.
There is an existing warrant of arrest. So anybody who has an existing warrant of arrest na hindi pa siya na-arrest are fugitive. Ngayon, arrest na siya. Siyempre, to make it easier for everyone, why don't he just surrender the case yung kanyang kaso. That way, he can also have his day.
The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group is now conducting its manhunt operation against Bantag and his Deputy Security Officer, Ricardo Zulueta. On April 12, a Muntinlupa City Regional Trial Court ordered their arrest for the murder of an inmate of the New Bilibid Prison identified as Cristito Palanya, also known as June Villamor. Bantag and Zulueta were also linked to the assassination of radioman Percival Mabasa, also known as Percy Lapid, in October last year. Palanya was the alleged middleman in the plot to kill Mabasa. Lapid, who had repeatedly criticized Bantag in his online radio show, was ambushed and killed near his neighborhood in Las Piñas City. His death sparked widespread condemnation and a high-profile investigation. This is John Eric Mendoza reporting for INQUIRER.net.
The Philippine Embassy in Egypt urges Filipinos in Sudan to remain indoors amid ongoing conflict in Sudan's capital, Khartoum. In an advisory, the embassy calls for Filipinos in Sudan to refrain from leaving the safety of their homes. It also asks Filipinos to coordinate with the Philippine Embassy in Cairo and the Philippine Consulate in Khartoum regarding their current circumstances. According to a Reuters report, the fighting erupted on Saturday between army units loyal to the head of Sudan's Transitional Governing Sovereign Council, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces led by the Council's Deputy Head General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo. At least 69 civilians have been killed. Philippine National Police Chief Rodolfo Azurin Jr. says Interior Secretary Benhur Abalos should beware of the people who could have fed him wrong information about the allegations hurled against the PNP. Azurin made the reminder in light of Abalos' allegation that there was a massive attempt to cover up the arrest of dismissed Police Master Sergeant Rodolfo Mayo due to drug-related charges in 2022. Mayo was apprehended on October 8, 2022 during an anti-drug raid where 990 kilograms of 6.7 billion pesos worth of shabu was confiscated from him.
So, I now appeal to our SILG. Let us focus on the real enemy. Let me call the attention also of our kind SILG, the Honorable Benjamin Benhar Abalos Jr., to take a second look on the people who may be feeding him misinformation to cast doubt on the integrity of the PNP organization, which is also under his authority. While I join the good SILG in the fight against erring personnel in the police force, let us not lose focus on the real enemy here, which is the shabu and the drug syndicates.
Meanwhile, Azurin points out how more parcels of crystal meth or shabu have been seized in the northern parts of the country. Azurin notes that hundreds of millions worth of shabu were seized in recent raids in Aporo Point, La Union, Binalonan, Pangasinan, Mexico, Pampanga, and Baguio City.
Is it not baffling that parcels of shabu keep on popping up around the country, particularly in the provinces up north, despite the PNP's drug enforcement group's supposedly relentless operation? Sabi ko nga mukhang malapit nang makarating sa Ilocos Diba?
Local oil companies will roll back the price of diesel while increasing the prices of gasoline and kerosene starting Tuesday, April 18. The pump prices of diesel will be slashed by 40 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, gasoline prices will increase by 30 centavos per liter and kerosene prices will rise by 10 centavos per liter. This comes after motorists reeled from big increases in local prices last week as world market cost of crude rose mainly due to the announced cut in OPEC plus output. The output cut will begin in May and last until the end of the year, according to the Department of Energy. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Hashtag celebrity goals talaga ang magkasintahang Sian Lim at Kim Chu dahil hanggang ngayon ay solid pa rin ang kanilang relasyon makalipas ang mahabang panahon. Pinusuan at nilike ng bonggang-bongga ng mga Kim Z fans ang mga social media post ng celebrity couple na kuha sa kanilang Holy Week vacation. Kwento ni Zian, talagang sinamantala nila ni Kim ang nagdaang long weekend at nagpakasaya sa kanilang pagbabakasyon sa napakagandang isla ng Balisin. Kitang-kita naman sa mga litrato at video na sobrang nag-enjoy ang dalawa sa kanilang recent travel. Sabi ng binata, talagang naglalaan sila ni Kim ng panahon para makapag-bonding sa gitna ng kanilang busy schedule. Sinisiguro rin nila na palaging open ang kanilang communication sa isa't isa para mapag-usapan ang anumang problema o issue about their relationship na umabot na nga ng mahigit 10 taon.
More than anything, I think mas na-enjoy namin ang company ng isa't isa. So, of course, hindi may iwasan yung konting arguments here and there, but yeah, we try not to linger on it too much. Palagi kami magkasama. Yes. Maybe it's just that we're not working together, but palagi kami magkasama.
At yan ang Bandera Chika natin today. Thanks, Neil.
Maraming salamat, Irvin, and these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Catch Inquirer Today live weekdays at 6 p.m. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.